Can we get a little louder than possible? There we go. There we go. There we go. That's what. Yeah. All right. All right. So I don't know about you, but feel free to get up, just vibe with it. Yes, action. I have to get this out. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. That's all I wanted to do. That was my talk. Thank you. I hope you take away something very positive with that. All right. The name I go by is Talwst. And how that name came to be is I come from a line of people with exceptionally high waists. So as a young boy, I'm in Trinidad, and I'm obsessing about this snakeskin beret. And I'm telling my grandparents that I want this beret, and please, I have to have it. And my grandma says, well, you know what? You've got to figure out how to get back to High Street, which is about 20 minutes away by bus or maxi taxi. And you have to figure out how to get there. We'll give you the money, but you're on your own. So I do this, and I'm on the maxi taxi. I get to High Street, and I see the stall, and I'm walking towards it. And all of a sudden, in Trinidad, they have a word called lime. So old guys on the corner just busting a lime. So they're chilling, and these guys start yelling, tall waist, tall waist, tall waist, come here, come here, come here. And right in my mind flashes the TV ads that we have here in Canada. It was like, strangers. Don't talk to them. They're dangerous. And these guys are calling me, but it was the first moment as a young person where my gut spoke to me, my instincts. And it said, yeah, go over and talk to these guys. What's the worst that can happen? Well, I'm sure if they were bad people, some stuff could happen, but nothing did. I go over, and they're like, tall waist man, you know, your grandpa's Mark and your dad's Frank. And I said, well, how do you know this? And they said, well, because look at your waist, look at your legs. You're clearly a Santiago. And that's how my nickname came to be. My dad is known as Talwst. So the funky spelling is because when I'm in Trinidad, they call me Talwst because I'm originally from Edmonton, Alberta. So to differentiate, so my mom's not yelling at 3 different Talwsts in the house, that's how I got this. So we're going to move to this photo here. When I started thinking about how this would go and what I would talk about, it kept coming back to these 2 people. This is an 18-year-old Monica Santiago, and my dad is like 26, 27 at that time. But they left beautiful Trinidad and Tobago. Look at it, it's gorgeous. Imagine you pack your bags, you're saying goodbye. You're like, okay, beach. And you're like, hello, Fort McMurray, Alberta, 1968. And you're 18 years old. You're the only, outside of the indigenous community, which is separated from the community you're living in, you're the only person of color there. Why I feel motivated to remain in action through life's ups and downs and whatever is because if these people could leave, and the immigration story is familiar with a lot of people, if they could leave where they were at the idea of opportunity and come to Canada, and why they chose Fort McMurray when all their family members and friends were coming to Toronto, was that they wanted their kids to be as Canadian as possible. They thought that the only way they're going to succeed is to be as Canadian as possible. So with that in my blood, I have stepped into the world with this understanding that anything is possible. With no money in my pocket, I'm still okay. With, adversity, I remember my father, hearing stories, my father coming home, and my dad wouldn't complain. I never heard, the things about racism I heard from them is that, you know what, you're probably gonna have to work twice as hard to get the same recognition. This is where we are, that's what it is. My dad would rarely complain, but I heard stories of him coming home, opening up his lunchbox at the end of the day, and there being a card from the members of the KKK saying, you should join our chap, making fun of him at work. And he was very skilled at what he did. He was a pipe fitter. And he was very skilled, and every time we'd go up, people always talk about, man, your dad's such a hard worker. He doesn't take lunch breaks. This guy's always working, always working. So those are my roots. Originally, I had scripted things out, but that's not me. That's not how my life goes. So I'm just going to kind of share some stories, and at the end, you can ask some questions, and hopefully that works out for you. So we'll move on from Fort McMurray. Why I'm here today is because Altera asked me. And this photo, you're like, I'm somewhere off to the side. I'm here. But I've worn many hats. I've been in television. I did some co-hosting for fashion television. I was in the movie Hot Tub Time Machine. I did some acting. If you see it and you see some guitar playing, you know that's me. I've worked on a potato farm. Oh my gosh, I've worked in a newspaper plant. So many other jobs. But it always stuck in the back of my head and my heart that what I was meant to do is be a creative and make art. Kanye West, some love him, some hate him, but I can relate to him because I come from the Kanye West school of like, my mom was like Kanye West's mom. It would be like, Mom, today I'm gonna be a golfer. All right, well you better be the best damn golfer there is, so we're gonna dig a little hole in the backyard and you're gonna go out there all day and you're gonna do your thing. And you're gonna work, and you're gonna work, and you're gonna work, and you're gonna work. So that is a bit of my mentality. Brief personal history. So when I first moved to Vancouver, I was in a band for about 10 years. Starting very young with these guys and playing, and realizing that there wasn't the opportunity there in Edmonton for me anymore, and I had to break out. So I went to Vancouver. Didn't have much experience, much going for me, but again, my instincts. It involved me just, when I probably met Altera, I would walk around the streets, passing people my cards. And at that time, I was dressed in all red. All I would wear is red. I don't know why, I was obsessed with it. Passing my cards, what do you do? I don't know, I'm a creative. If you need someone to draw something, if you need someone, and just hustle. Then, I got my first opportunity, and it was emceeing at a club. I'd never really emceed at a club. I'd never done like the hosting thing. But this DJ was like, why don't you come to this club and do your thing there? And I did that for a few years and partied and danced with Avril Lavigne and Lindsay Lohan and did that. And I was like, that just isn't it. Something didn't feel fulfilled. But I knew that I had to keep searching. So then the music started to happen. And from a child, I was like, I love singing and I wrote songs. And I thought that music was going to be my life. And I got into the industry and I was doing well. And then the first wall came. And that first wall was when I sat and I played my music for these amazing record execs, David Bowie's old drummer, all these people, and they're like, this is great. Black people aren't going to vibe to this. And white kids aren't going to get it. Because you're from Sherwood Park, Alberta, and what you've done is you've mashed these two things together. So right then I started to realize that I'm hearing no's, but my heart is telling me yes. I'm hearing all these no's. Nobody's telling me it's not good. Nobody's telling me you don't have it. I'm just hearing no's. So I go back to Monica and Frank and I start thinking, well, what would they do? And it was that idea of like, well, if they're telling me no here, I'm gonna pack up my bags and I'm gonna go to an environment where it doesn't feel so segregated and cultures mix a little more and maybe there'll be an understanding. And I wound up in Toronto doing television. So I'm here, I have this great opportunity, CTV, I've been working for fashion television, and they're like, you know what? We're getting ready to launch a new channel on CTV. It's gonna be a fashion program dedicated to younger people. And we want you to head up a segment. Everything is going perfect, and all of a sudden, the week after the meeting, where they're like, you got this. All the hiring cuts happened at CTV. Everything stopped. A bunch of people got fired, the show got canned, and now I was in Toronto being like, all right, what do I do? And that, for me, was one of the darkest moments because I'd kind of felt lost. And then I started drawing and painting. I had a flashback. Everything keeps coming back to my mom. So my mom used to work she would work at a newspaper plant in the evenings, and then during the day, she had a restaurant that she was just starting, and she would get that going, and then it was done. And so at night, when I was little, and I had to be at home alone, my brothers were out doing their thing because they're 10 years older than me, she'd cover my wall in newspaper print. And I would draw until I passed out. I would draw and doodle, because I don't sleep. I sleep maybe 4 hours. And so I would draw and do this and do this. And so I'm sitting in Toronto, and there's this moment of like, I don't know what to do with my life. And I just cover the wall with paper. And I start drawing, and I start drawing, and I start drawing. And I starve, and I starve. And there's a time when it's like one Dr. Ocker pizza to last at least like 2 days kind of thing. And people are like, well, just go get a job. You can go get a job. You can go. But my heart said, you've got to stick to this. You've got to see this thing through. So at that time, I'm a recluse. I'm not seeing friends. I'm just working and working and working. And these happened. I'm going to pass them out. I'll start one over here, and I'll start one over here. Maybe we'll start one in the middle. But all I ask is that you don't stab inside of it. You can look, smell, whatever you want, but just please don't touch the insides. I'll start on the stream. I'm going to move this slide forward. I'm not used to working with slides. Normally I just am really animated, and that seems to be enough, but you all people need a little bit more. We talked about music. That was a phase of my life. This guy here. I think I'm done with the slides. This is, yeah. So this is my father, and this happened maybe a few months ago. He happened to be in Toronto the weekend that this came out. I was at the Met looking at artwork. So I decided in that moment that I'm going to be an artist, that's it. I want to be as good as a Van Gogh, as a Picasso, as anybody else out there, because they always told me, if you're going to do something, take it. And I personally believe that it's not being cocky or crazy when you hear, like, again, Kanye West say something so ridiculous and over the top. But if you look at his track record from the first album when he says something insane, that I'm going to be this and this and this, he makes it happen. The artists, Michael Jordan, the business people that I've always admired, they've always projected. So I started telling myself, after going to the Met and seeing the Van Gogh, seeing all these people standing in front of a Van Gogh, and even now, when you go to a museum, and if they have a Van Gogh, that line always seems to be a little more intense. So I started studying the story and hearing about all the no's he'd received, and that people thought he was crazy. Well, he was crazy, but they thought the art he was making was crazy. And I decided that my goal was to make something that no matter where you were from, your art background, what it is you really loved about art, that you could resonate with something, you could resonate with the object. And you don't know how it's going to happen, but by putting in the hours and remaining diligent to it, I came up with these boxes. And there was a morning where I was at the bus stop, and there was an old Chinese woman sitting beside me, and we didn't communicate. We'd always sit there in the morning, and we'd not talk. And I handed her the box. And she opened the box, and her face and reaction was the reaction that I saw, similar to what I saw when all walks of life in front of the Van Gogh. It transcended something. And that's when I started really believing that, okay, this is real. I can do this, and this is happening. So in the last 6-7 years, I've become a madman, and I've dedicated myself and time to this. In the course of finding my stride, finding my thing, all these new opportunities have come about, which now makes me more active more active than ever. I continue to trust my gut and feel grateful, and grateful and gratitude is a word I use very strongly. Again, I hope this is okay, because I'm really going to steer away from what I plan to say and just kind of speak. Things I've learned that have helped me remain active and keep pushing me is something as simple as being happy for other people's successes. When my friends, I was in the midst of, everybody knows The Weeknd, right? Of the artist The Weeknd. So when you Google The Weeknd and you read his Wikipedia page, you're going to see a small cliff note that says, like, Talwst Santiago was originally offered to be The Weeknd. And yeah, that's kind of true. His first producers, the guys who invented the sound, first came to me to work on the music. And it wasn't my vibe. I thought what they had was great, but it wasn't my vibe to sing about darkness or I'd done my drug thing, I'd done that life. I wanted to, be a grown-up. And it was a struggle to watch, to be in the studio day to day, and you're recording and you're doing your thing, and to see it skyrocket and see your close friends just boom. The minute I started feeling joy and happiness for them and others and really being like, oh, that's amazing that that's happening for you. Tell me all the details. How did you feel when they called you and said, you got it? I could start manifesting that myself and feeling what it would feel like to have that success. The older I get, at my young age of 36, I used to, when we talk about action, I used to be like, yeah, okay, there. I'm more patient now. I'm patient in the decisions I make and knowing that what is meant for me, if I continue to work and push, it'll happen. And it's not necessarily about just slamming on a door or slamming on a wall and this, why isn't this happening for me? And I deserve this, I deserve that. It's about being happy for people, being grateful that we all live in a country where we have an opportunity, most of us have the opportunity to be here and to chase our goals. Yeah, we're at 60, okay. My life at this point, where I can really say is what I can say is that I feel like I'm on. My work is now being accepted around the world, and things are happening, and all those moments of starvation, of, no's, and there'll be more no's, and there'll be ups and downs. It doesn't matter because I just feel so grateful to have the opportunity to do what I'm doing. I'd rather just talk to people and get questions at this point. Hopefully you got something from me, I don't know, but again, any opportunity, trust your instincts. I don't want to seem too preachy, just trust your instincts. Know that we're blessed individuals. However you perceive the word blessed, just know that we're blessed to have the opportunities and people before us sacrifice in order for us to really chase and do what we're doing. Because I feel like anybody in this room is really pursuing their arts and their heart and loving creativity, which is, for me, what makes the world go round. And yeah, wow, that was really nerve-wracking. I'm going to stop there. Woo!